Hey there. Today I'm going to be beating up on a really dumb idea, which I normally don't like to do, but enough friends of mine have mentioned this to me seriously, so I think it's worth addressing it here. Today I'm going to be talking about Calexit, the idea that California should secede from the United States. This appeals to a lot of progressive people. They rightly point out that if California were independent, it would be somewhere between the 5th and 8th largest economy in the world. Some parts of urban California feel like a different country already, with different regulations, different attitudes, and different ways of life. After the election of Donald Trump, who California voted against 62% to 32%, it's not surprising that some Californians are looking for the exit. But the exit isn't really there. I applaud the moves toward federalism that states like New York and California are making. It is great to see progressives rediscover the Constitution and realize that their state governments have real power against a central government that they hate. But the idea of Calexit is flatly ridiculous. Leaving aside the fact that it's been established for over 150 years that the U.S. government doesn't just let go of states, an independent California just isn't viable. Here's why. California needs the U.S. defense industry. We all know California for Hollywood and Silicon Valley. That stuff is sexy, but it's U.S. government money, and defense spending in particular, that built the state. And military money is still very important in keeping the state going. San Diego, in particular, is unimaginable without the U.S. Navy, but defense spending remains very important for all of Southern California. How do you think the fabled SoCal real estate market would do if you subtracted a couple million soldiers and workers in related industries? There's also a lot more military and intelligence community money floating around Silicon Valley than anybody wants to acknowledge. Without the Pentagon, California's economy would be seriously damaged, but that's just the beginning. California's tech industry needs Washington, D.C. There's a whole field of government law called antitrust or competition law, and it's designed to prevent or break up monopolies. Companies like Google and Facebook that lead the California economy have outpaced the development of competition law. The laws are designed for an industrial economy, not a post-industrial one. That won't be true forever. In recent months, the European Union has gotten a bit more aggressive with Google, but it can't get too aggressive, because at the end of the day, the U.S. market and U.S. goodwill is too important to Europe. The European Union and the United States will chip away at the margins of these companies, but the U.S. government doesn't want to kill the golden goose, and the rest of the world doesn't want to piss off Washington, D.C. That ends the day California gets independence. Amazon and Microsoft would still be U.S. companies, and they would team up with the U.S. government to transplant Silicon Valley to Seattle, or maybe just destroy it. The rest of the world would be delighted to join in on this feeding frenzy. Over the past few decades, many countries have beefed up their competition law. California's power comes from being part of the United States. Washington, D.C. is important for Hollywood as well. California's ability to access world markets follows from the fact that the world needs access to the U.S. market. China lets in 30-odd Hollywood movies every year, and those few movies are very important to the film industry's bottom line. China would let in far fewer Hollywood films if California could only offer a market of 42 million people in return, rather than a market of 320 million people. This holds true for pretty much everything California produces. The state's economic success comes from being attached to the United States, the largest market in the world. California may be our main hub for innovation, but California needs the United States just as much as the United States needs California. I could go on. There's also the fact that while progressives in California might have the numbers, they do not have the land. The rednecks still own a lot of that natural beauty that Californians can never shut up about. But I don't really have to go into all that. The next time you're at a bar and somebody mentions Calexit, you can now point out just how ridiculous that idea is. California would be nothing without the United States, and the United States is an infinitely better place with California in it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And if you want to keep in touch with me outside of the Googleplex, I'd suggest signing up for my email newsletter or following me on Twitter. Thanks.